If you want to absolutely terrify a modern internet therapist, lock them in a room with a Generation X adult. Society looks at the people born between 1965 and 1980 and assumes they are just deeply cynical, emotionally detached, or aggressively sarcastic. We are living in an era where everyone constantly broadcasts their trauma on the internet, and Gen X is just sitting quietly in the corner, sipping their coffee, watching the world burn without making a single sound. But before you assume they are just apathetic or numb, you have to realize you are entirely missing the terrifying psychological experiment that forged them. Psychologists have completely mapped the neurological operating system of Generation X, and the truth is they are not detached. They are the most psychologically calloused and fiercely independent human beings currently walking the earth. To understand why Gen X absolutely refuses to ask for help, you have to look at the massive, defining trauma of their childhood, the Latchkey kid phenomenon. They were the very first generation in modern history where both parents massively entered the workforce and divorce rates absolutely skyrocketed. From the time they were 7 years old, they were coming home to completely empty houses, cooking their own dinners in a microwave, and raising themselves while the constant looming threat of the Cold War played on the television in the background. Their developing brains internalized a terrifying, unbreakable biological rule. No one is coming to save you, so you better figure it out yourself. They didn't have helicopter parents mediating their playground disputes. They were kicked out of the house at dawn and navigated completely unsupervised physical environments until the streetlights finally flickered on. This brutal lack of supervision was a high-stakes survival boot camp that forged an unbreakable psychological resilience. This created a generation with an astronomically high level of psychological sovereignty. Modern generations require constant, never-ending external validation just to regulate their nervous systems. But Gen X, their baseline for survival was built in absolute isolation. They process massive emotional trauma entirely internally. When the economy crashes or a global crisis hits, Millennials and Gen Z will panic and demand systemic change. Gen X just quietly shrugs, updates their resume, and survives. Their extreme sarcasm and dark humor are not just personality quirks. They are highly advanced cognitive defense mechanisms. They use cynicism as heavy emotional armor to deflect disappointment before it can even touch them. You see this ruthless independence in the modern workplace every single day. While younger employees demand constant feedback and mentorship, a Gen X employee actively rebels against being micromanaged. If you try to hold their hand, their nervous system rejects it. They just want the mission parameters and to be left completely alone to execute the task without any unnecessary corporate buzzwords. And then there is the fascinating, deeply frustrating psychology of the generational middle child. Gen X is sandwiched directly between two massive, incredibly loud demographics, the boomers and the millennials. Both of those generations demand constant attention and believe they are the main characters of the universe. Gen X grew up being completely ignored by society, and instead of throwing a tantrum, they actively weaponize that invisibility. They realize that if society is not paying attention to you, society also cannot control you. They crave absolute autonomy. They do not want a trophy, they do not want a participation ribbon, and they absolutely do not want your unsolicited advice. They just want to be left completely alone to fix their own problems. They are the only generation that possesses the analog resilience of the old world and the digital fluency of the modern matrix. They remember exactly what life was like before smartphones tracked our every single movement, which gives them a terrifying level of clarity about the modern world. They are not emotionally detached. They are just biologically immune to the fake, performative outrage of the modern internet. The next time a Gen Xer completely ignores your drama and responds to your highly emotional, 5-paragraph text message with a simple thumbs up emoji, do not be offended. You're dealing with an unbreakable psychological fortress. They survived a childhood of absolute chaos completely unsupervised, and they certainly do not need your external validation right now.